G'day everyone, welcome back to Pete's Investing. It's July 21, 2023. This is a different format to what I normally do. I'm going to go through natural gas, Bitcoin, gold, silver, the US dollar, NASDAQ, Japan, the Nikkei, and also the USCrude analysis, chart analysis. And each of these are on the hourly time frame, but that can be applied to pretty much any time frame, the same approach. So what I'm looking at primarily is the trend, but also divergence. So what I've got here first off is the natural gas price on the hourly. So what I've got down here is the CCI 150 and a trend line applied to it. But what we're looking at is these little spikes on the CCI, and you'll notice in terms of the overall trend, it generally tracks with the trend of the price chart. So you can see there I've applied a moving average 50 to both the price and also moving average 50 down here on the CCI 150. So generally they align in a very similar sort of pattern, but in some cases, like back here for example, the CCI dropped off, and that's a sign of a bearish divergence. You can see there we projected it to hit that target, and that target is basically, for those new to the channel, we basically draw a Fibonacci. I'll just demonstrate this once. I won't go too many times this, otherwise this video will go in too long. And I generally apply a target, the closest Fibonacci range of that range drawn in terms of Fibonacci retracement. Sometimes they do go well beyond that in terms of a retracement. The price does actually fall beyond that, but you actually, the high probability of success is getting the closest Fibonacci range of that price retrace. So that's how we look at these divergence. So you can see there we had a few divergences, a bullish one there versus the price. The price went up. It missed it on that little retrace, came back down again, and it actually eventually did go up to it. So that was again maybe a low probability of success, because we did actually put it pretty high up in terms of Fibonacci. You can see they're eyeballing it between that and that point. That's about halfway between that area. So that was a bit of a risky trade. Ideally, you would have put it somewhere in that area there in a 23-38% level. So again, just looking at here as an example, again. And I'll just draw it here just so we're not confusing too many people. If you're new to the channel, you draw a retrace between that range there. The price would have broken above that entry point, and I would have put initially a target around a 38%, which you actually just hit on that level there. So that there was a successful trade ultimately, but again a higher risk in terms of getting a profitable trade. Anyway, came back to where we are today. The natural gas price and CCI are still moving in the same direction. It's hit this minor resistance up here at 27.63, and it's having a bit of a pullback. So there's no divergence to talk about yet. There was a little bullish divergence here versus the price. It came up and it bounced and it hit our target again, very close Fibonacci range. So that was hit on our previous video. Next, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin. This is again the Bitcoin 1 hour chart. Very similar thing again. Notice there was a bearish divergence here versus the price. For this divergence to work, or to fail I should say, you can see there that CCI came close to going, that's the high point there, that came close to exceeding that high point. If it does that, then that would have invalidated the divergence. So you can see there the price was going up, and in this case the CCI was going down. It came close there, but then it kept falling, and that's where we drew it to that point there. So that was a bearish divergence, and we did draw a target here at the 23% level. It actually hit that target initially. You can see there again, it's actually hit it again. Now that's a bit of it's been going sideways there, so that would have been a pretty risky trade if had you still, so in other words, I wouldn't be in it anymore, because that's actually gone beyond that. So that would have been a successful trade there. In the short term, where we are now, a little bullish movement there versus the price. Now it's actually broken higher there. Again, in terms of Fibonacci retracement, you can see that you probably would have entered it somewhere there as an entry. And the way you enter these is basically you draw a trend line from some recent lows and highs. So you might have drawn it, for example, during those highs there, through those highs there, and on those points there, and you probably would have gone long there. You can see that would have been your target area. So that would have been a successful trade if you aimed for that 38% level there. Let's just draw that. Okay, so you can just basically touch in there. Now what you can do if you want to improve your probability, had you gone long there, you can actually bring it down a bit, just a few points below the actual Fibonacci range to have a better success rate again. Again, some of these things go right through, that potentially can go right through there and beyond 100%, and they often do that, but I'm trying to give you a better probability of success. Then next we'll look at gold. So this is the gold price. Now we did, on our last video, we did project a bearish divergence here versus the price. Again, our Fibonacci range. Notice here I've put the target range around midpoint between the 23 and the 38%. And it's coming that way. It's broken through our entry level, so you would have gone short there. And it's coming through towards our target so far. The CCI is still falling, so that's a good sign in terms of a bearish outlook for this, if you're going short. So that's where we are on that one. I won't go too much in history, otherwise this video will drag out too long, but you can see there are a few other divergences that worked out. A small short-term divergence worked there, and a long-term divergence worked there as well. Next we'll talk about silver. Again, this was projected with a bearish divergence. CCI is still dropping, the price is rising, and it eventually broke through our entry point up there, and it's now approaching our target. It's having a little bounce there. So that's why I'm saying if you get in within your entry quite early, not too early though, you can actually bring it, I like bringing it a few points above the Fibonacci range and have a higher probability of success. But it's bounced off that resistance at 25.27 and it's coming towards our divergence target. Next we look at the US dollar. That hit the support down here, bullish divergence, and it's come up and hit our target range quite nicely. Went almost as high as a 38%. So again, don't get too ambitious. I like taking the high probability trades for better success. So again, there's no divergence with each of these. If I see anything, I'll draw it in and I'll mention it. Next, we look at the NASDAQ. This was also projected, bearish divergence, broke through our entry point and hit our target. And this one's actually coming almost hitting the 50% level. So this may well go lower. You see there the CCI is still dropping, so that's a positive in terms of if you're hitting this, you're aiming for that target. USCrude, this hit our target as well versus that bearish divergence since our last video, and it's actually bounced from there, and currently it's still running flat along just below that resistance at 77.17. So again, no divergence yet to talk about. And lastly, we've got the Nikkei Japanese market, or the Nikkei, whichever way you pronounce it. Again, bullish divergence there versus the price, bounced, broke above our channel of entry and hit the 38 target and went as high as a 50% target. Retraced back down, but then went higher. So there's no saying what it's going to do from after it hits the target. It may actually come and collapse, keep declining, or it could actually break right through. So there's no real way of saying where this is going to go. Now notice specifically here on the Japanese market, it's actually hit the 61%, which is a key area in terms of Fibonacci reversals. Generally, if it does that, it's usually a reversal. It can reverse from any point, but this is a key area on Fibonacci retracements. If it breaks through that, say for example towards the 78%, there's a higher chance it continues to the upside. Of course, it can always retrace from any point, but that's just a general key pivot area on the Fibonacci retracement. So that's where we are with that. And to understand more about some trading strategies you can apply, also reference my Patreon page where we do weekly scans of stocks, currencies and commodities. Subscribe, like and share the channel. Thanks for watching and see you in a future video.